How are you, my friend? My sunflower? My queen bee? How are you?
What? Oh, that's nice.
Words out of the way early. Nice. Move on. Can relax. Okay, I can just sit back and enjoy this now. I like the name Queen Bee for you. Bee.
Really?
Queen Bee. Yeah. You and Brady and Beyonce both lend themselves to the Queen Bee moniker. That was something else, wasn't it? I feel like that's a bit too energetic for me. High energy. I was a bit exhausted by it, man. I don't know if I can keep up anymore with this young people's techno music.
I've seen you on the dance floor. You've got the moves.
Not for a long time, man.
Yeah. That came from Rob. This is what Rob wrote. Greetings from the United States, Idaho. I do not know Tall Jeff personally, but I want to thank you for the attention you gave my amazing state and our beautiful state seal. For the most part, we are ignored until dinner time when Americans remember their need for potatoes. I love that Tall Jeff, one of our patrons and contributors, has now become famous for being from Idaho. Rob continued, I am answering Brady's call for techno versions of the Sofa Shop jingle. I hope my humble submission will be worthy of your time. I'm an electrical engineer by day, but making electronic music is my hobby, and I thoroughly enjoyed making this masterpiece. This might just be the next massive hit at every rave around the world. Cheers, Rob.
Well, I think he's done a good job. It sounds legit.
Legit.
Is legit still a word? Yeah.
It was lit. Is that what you say? It was. By the way,
yeah,
he mentioned raves, and this brings me up to something else I wanted to bring up on the podcast. Obviously, we've been during lockdown for a long time, and one of the things that seems to come up on the news all the time is people getting in trouble for having illegal raves.
Oh, really?
It occurs to me I've never heard of a legal rave. You only seem to have illegal raves. You and I aren't the kind of guys that would normally go to an illegal rave, but this is half a podcast idea and half an Unmade podcast idea. I thought it would be really cool for us to organise an Unmade podcast illegal rave. But the thing is, we just always can be organising it and planning it and talking about it and hyping it up, but never actually do it.
Yeah.
I think it's time for us to formally announce the Unmade podcast illegal rave that will be happening next year. Everyone's invited. Tickets will be... how much will tickets be for our illegal rave? What sounds like a good price for an illegal rave ticket?
Or 2 ecstasy pills?
2 ecstasy... Showing our age.
2 E's and whiz?
We'll be eating lots of drugs at our illegal rave.
We were always more into quarter pounders than...
Yeah. That's one big ecstasy pill.
The feeling of ecstasy from a quarter pounder is surely better than anything you get from something dodgy like that.
You know how these ecstasy pills and illegal drugs always have they always seem to have some name. There's a new variant on the market, and it always has a name which comes into the news when there's a bad batch. And
yeah.
Do you think quarter pounder would be a good name for an ecstasy pill? Hey man, got a quarter pounder?
Got a quarter pounder? I'd be into it.
Yeah.
I think it's a sort of it's whatever the opposite of an ecstasy pill is, a downer. It just slows you down because you're not dancing after you've had one of those. That's for sure.
Oh no, that's right. You're not getting this. I think it's cute that you suggested we'd have only one.
That's right. Yeah, I know.
So when we have our illegal rave next year,
which is going to be Yeah, like in a warehouse somewhere or in,
Yeah.
a car park in the middle of the night in deep dark. Play, down back alleys into a secret, massive, hidden area.
Definitely a warehouse. Definitely. The Unmade podcast warehouse. And I think, like, will Rob's Sofa Shop jingle play just then be the opening song of the night or, like, the finale?
Well, that's a good point. I think we...
Or both.
You don't reckon we don't do any of the a cappella or sort of hoedown country versions? Some of the other versions I think could go down really well.
After a few quarter pounders, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, stay tuned for more details about the Unmade podcast Illegal Rave as they come to light. All we know so far is it's happening in 2021. Admission is 2 quarter pounder ecstasy pills, and it's going to be held in a warehouse.
Maybe Queen Bee can be your DJ name. Maybe that's...
Queen Bee up on the decks, up in his hive. I've got like a big hive with decks all around me.
Holding up your headphone to one ear, going, yep, giving everyone the thumbs up.
Looking out at all my drones on the dance floor. All bringing me my royal jelly.
Oh man, that sounds. I'm excited about that. I'm also exhausted by the thought, but excited about it.
Oh no, because you and I are running it, we have all the control, so it can all be finished by like 9 o'clock.
Oh, nice, excellent.
Yeah.
Yes,
Then you can go home and watch the Grand Prix. Everyone's invited back to mine for the Grand Prix. For after party.
So what's going to make it illegal? The fact that we've got no approval for it. This is because they were illegal back before COVID. So
oh yeah, man, we're not going to get planning approval. That's how hardcore we are.
Man,
there will be what else will be illegal? Everyone will be parked on double yellow lines outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of your tracks will be pretty illegal, like underground illegal remixes of hardcore dance tracks.
There will be copyrighted music being played. Also, I think we may be the first 2 men talking podcast to hold their own illegal rave.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Do you think there could be any police listening to this episode, though? Like, that could really bring us unstuck. I hope that no one working for law enforcement listens to this.
Maybe this episode just goes out on our illegal pirate radio stations instead of on the regular facilities.
Our illegal feed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The cops have to sort of, track and go undercover to get details about, to sort of break wide open. Going, you shouldn't be playing that music to these kids at these times, that sort of thing.
I love it. I want to think of more like illegal things we can do that are like, like you can bring your dogs and not pick up after them.
There'd be a lot of jaywalking, like walking across the dance floor instead of going around outside.
Oh, yeah. I like that. You can stand on the wrong side of the escalator when you're arriving.
Mad, bad, and dangerous to know. That's what we are, man. Hang on. Sorry, just before you go into that, the lovely old guy over the road's just called me, so I just need to...
The policeman, the retired policeman.
Yes.
He heard about the illegal rave already. Tim's office at the church is across the road from a retired policeman who always calls when the lights are on late at night.
Sorry to disturb you at this hour of the night, but I saw the lights on over there and I thought I'd just perhaps touch base. You're burning the midnight oil.
Oh, yeah,
I know you sometimes make a few overseas calls, I think, do you?
That's right.
No, I think it's, yes, yeah.
Don't tell him about the rave.
If you had a few minutes before you headed for home tonight, I'd perhaps pop over and just have a quick chat.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I'm
He's onto it. He's all over it. He knows about the rave.
About my the podcast. So I'm actually...
That's right.
I'm recording the...
Yes.
Yeah, I'm recording
Nights.
recording that for the next hour or so. But maybe I'll send you a text message. Or if your light's still on, should I come and say a quick g'day?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a text message and let you know. That'd be great.
Tim is playing it so cool right now.
Just doing a bit of work and not organising any raves or anything. No.
If you're finishing late and you don't want to, well, it's nothing if that suited you better.
That's probably better. Late morning tomorrow morning, actually.
What if I wander over about 11 o'clock or thereabouts?
Oh, that's perfect. Yep, 1100. No worries.
Good day. Nothing, it's just...
That'd be great. I'll look forward to it.
Okay.
See you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
He's on to us.
He's on. He's 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'm going to get raked over the coals.
Get your story straight, man. I love that. As soon as we started even talking about illegal activities, the policeman calls. Like you, I'm not organising an illegal rave or anything.
I just wanted to be very clear about that, just to put him off the set. 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, I'm going to be put in a dark room with a swinging light bulb and
You are.
very intimidating conversations going to occur, I can tell.
Well, there's no way I'm setting foot back in Australia now.
No, you run for it, man. Stay over there.
Just a very small piece of housekeeping. Those of you who listened to our last episode will have been introduced to the wonders of Tim's mum, Mrs. Hine.
Yep.
In our wholesome... How is she after the big podcast debut, by the way?
Oh, look, she was delighted. I mean, really, it's really interesting to be there at the moment when someone becomes a worldwide celebrity. You know what I mean? Their breakthrough after years of trying to break through as a cultural influencer. Finally.
Yeah. Did she turn up at church on Sunday with a bit of a swagger?
Well, she parked her limo a little bit closer to the door than she normally would. And
made her way through the paparazzi waiting outside Malvern Uniting.
That's right. I heard this authoritarian voice going, I want a clear line to the door. Everyone step back. And she was given a few congratulatory pats on the back and so forth from people in the church who had listened. She loved it. She absolutely loved it. Yeah.
Brilliant. She was great. And for those of you who who have been caught up in the hype around Mrs. Hine, we have special T-shirts available.
Yeah. And mugs.
Milo with Mrs. Hine T-shirts and mugs. I'll put some links in the usual secret places. That is the notes for the episode. So check it out. Podcast ideas. Before we go into podcast ideas, Tim, can I throw one other quick podcast idea out there that I had on the drive home today?
Go for it.
How about a podcast called My Dad Was Dutch? And every guest has to have had a dad who was Dutch and talk about that in some way. So I realise that's a limitation I'm putting on the potential guest list, but I just think that could work.
Not really. I'm sure there are millions of people with parents who are Dutch, man.
Oh, it'd be huge in the Netherlands. Yeah.
So this is to talk about the interesting characteristics of their father.
No, not necessarily. I mean, hopefully, though, you would talk about your dad and your dad's Dutchness and how that influenced your life. But maybe people who never knew their dad would be on the show, or for whom their father being Dutch was not a big thing. But that's just the limitation I'm putting on the guest list. I just thought I'd put that idea out there.
Wow, that's an interesting idea. I have to say, I've been clearing out some stuff, and yesterday I cleared out even more of some old Dutchy sort of stuff, and a couple of old clogs went in the rubbish. And I have to say, it was pretty heartbreaking to see these clogs go. I kept a few nice ones that have been with us a while, but it was hard to let them go.
I was about to praise you for having the fortitude to finally throw some stuff away, but then it turns out you've kept a few pairs of clogs, not just one. I kept a few. Like, how many did you have? That keeping a few is like...
You know how people have those sort of a wall, like a big rack on their wall with all the Nike Air Jordans that were ever made? It's a bit like that.
Right.
Except they're clogs. Well, how come Nike doesn't do like air clogs? Because I tell you, if there's ever a shoe in history that needs a little bit more cushioning with some air, it's a pair of clogs.
Air clogs. Well, now that I have this relationship with Michael Jordan, maybe I can get that moving.
Maybe it should. How huge would it be in Holland to have air clogs?
Air clogs.
They could pump them up. That's great.
Australia should have air Uggs.
Air Uggs. Do people overseas know what Ugg boots are, or are they distinctly Australian?
No, I thought, well, they're huge in the UK.
Oh, are they?
My wife's got several pairs.
Oh, wow. I kept one pair of clogs that
You
I
kept
used
one
to,
pair, right.
I kept one pair that have a bit of decorative stuff on them. They used to hang on my wall as a kid, and I thought, well, I can't get rid of all the clogs. So I'll keep those because the kids might want them. I don't think they will want them, but anyway, it was my way of getting rid of several to keep one. But it feels strange to throw them away, but there we go.
I'll tell you what, man, when you die, the first thing your kids are going to have to do is one awesome trip to the tip.
What? Not anymore. It's all gone. I did 12 tubs of stuff went out yesterday.
Wow.
It was transformative.
Did you ever see your dad wearing clogs, like, other than, like, fancy dress? Like, have you ever seen them worn, like, just, to go and, buy fish and chips?
Oh, no, he wore them in the garden all the time through my whole life.
Yeah?
Yeah, instead of gumboots. Yeah, like where we'd have Wellingtons or gumboots, or boots.
Yeah.
He wore the clogs in the garden. Yeah, that's what he wore every day.
I never saw that once. I never saw your dad wear clogs.
Oh, right. Maybe when he was a bit younger and he was doing like a veggie patch sort of garden. When I picture Terrell, and he got a bit old in the end. It was just sort of a few flowers, but he was out there, when he was really digging up potatoes and all that sort of stuff when I was a bit younger.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
It's a good look. They look great. Yeah.
Your dad could pull it off too.
Well, because he's Dutch.
Was your dad Dutch? Next week on My Dad Was Dutch.
My dad was Dutch. It's like, how loud could he yell? Well, my dad got up to 400 decibels. Really?
They should have that. You know how they always have that decibel list when things are dangerous, and like standing next to a jumbo jet engine is always top of that list.
Yeah.
They should have Stan talking to Tim's dad, the next one up from that.
What would be awesome is to have something that he yelled so often, which is him calling out to the kitchen for Mum to make a Milo, and it would be so loud. And are we getting a Milo or what? No.
Like the Krakatoa explosion.
That's right. It's like a shotgun going off down the street. It's like calling it for a cup of tea or Milo.
All right, let's get into normal ideas for a podcast, which is what we sometimes do here on the show. It is kind of our reason for being. You going to go first today? No, I've been throwing all sorts of stuff out there with my illegal raves and Dutch dads.
Oh, you have, yes. No, we've finally cleared all that sort of out the way. We can get down to the serious ideas. Look, mine's a bit meta, actually. The name of my podcast idea is 2020.
Yeah.
Now, the reason for that is I wonder, everyone's been talking about 2020 with anticipation over the years, like a vision with, 2020. It's just a nice sort of marker in the sand because it sounds so nice and rounded and so forth.
Nice alliteration.
Yeah. It's got that sense of vision. Our 2020 vision for this company is, and it's got that lovely clear-sightedness illusion too. Then we get here, and 2020's been a bit of a mess, right? So there's been no one ever expected a global pandemic, but there's all sorts of other things as well, like a US presidential election that's been totally unusual with an unusual sort of president anyway, and it comes off the back of Brexit, and it's been just a strange and peculiar year.
Yes.
And so I was wondering, but what everyone's like, we can't wait. We're never going to forget 2020. Happy to leave this behind. But I was wondering, what if 2020 is our Groundhog year, right? So what if we, as humanity, get to the end of 2020 and I Got You, Babe comes on and we start back at January 1 and we have to do it all over again. In fact, we have to keep doing 2020 until we get it right. Like over and over and over and over again.
What's your podcast idea?
I'm getting it too. I'm getting to it.
Okay.
So
2020 is nearly over, man. 2020 is just having to listen to Tim describe this idea over and over again.
Just when they couldn't get any worse, Tim has an idea.
I thought coronavirus was tough. You should hear Tim describe this idea.
My podcast idea is an idea where we go from January 1st next year, we go day by day. We have a podcast a day that goes through all of next year, and you get a different person on each time to talk about, firstly, what they were doing on this day in 2020. They go back to their diary and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And if they would do anything different. They also reflect on the year as a whole. What was the thing they regret the most? What one thing would they change about the year? What was actually the silver lining for the year? What was the greatest thing? So basically, we continue on, but people live through 2020.
Okay. It's spending all of 2021 reflecting and looking back at what 2020 was like for them.
That's right, yeah. But doing a deep dive and people thinking about... So with 2020 hindsight, they're going back and saying, but particularly the regrets, what would I... Like if they were to live 2020 over and they had a run at it again and again and again, like in Groundhog Day, you know, what bit of 2020 would they want to perfect? What would they want to get right?
Yeah,
but
that's not bad. Not bad.
That's my idea.
To take that podcast idea, it's a good idea now that I kind of have my head around it, to take it a bit further, Tim, and think about it like... And to think about it a bit differently. What about a podcast called Last Year, and each podcast for that year's podcast is always looking back at the year before? So in 2022, you're always looking back at 2021. What I was doing this week last year, what I learnt last year.
That's true.
Obviously, 2021's episode, looking back at 2020, is going to be a big one because 2020 was such a weird year. But I was thinking, what do you do at the end of the year with this podcast? You do it again.
Well, that's true. Yeah. You could keep it running over. Yep. This time last year, I was X, and then this is what's happened, and this is what I regret. This is what I'd change.
Okay.
This is what is different.
Yep. Do you keep a thorough enough diary to be able to do this? If you were a guest on the show, would you be able to look back at your diary and have a really good recollection of what you were doing in any given week?
I do. I have a pretty full diary, so I can, like, in terms of work appointments, so there'd be enough of that going, oh, yeah, okay, so I had that meeting and this meeting and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
You could also work out a few other things around the date and time. Oh, that's the time when we had that dinner and whatnot. But most things are locked in for me like that, so I could go off it. Emails would be another way of tracking that as well. Going to last year's what emails was I sending on that day and around. Oh, okay, so I was at work and.
I use my photos album for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I look at my pictures and the dates on my pictures to figure out where I was and what I was doing.
That's probably even better than the emails. That's right, yeah. I was flicking through photos the other night, looking at old photos, and I'm always astonished by the dates. Things I thought were just a year ago or 3 years ago, and things that are 8 years ago I thought were 5. You know, it's like, gosh, our memory is very imperfect. Well, mine is. 2020
has obviously been a year of many lowlights. What was your highlight of 2020?
Ooh, probably, I don't know, moving. You know, did I mention that we moved house?
My dad being Dutch. I cannot believe that you didn't name me coming to Australia.
Look, see, you keep interrupting tonight before I get to what I wanted to say. I was about to say, you know, moving and you coming to visit. That's what I was going to say. Look, the second half of the year had some real highlights because we sold the house, we moved into a new house. You came to visit. We got Brooklyn, our new puppy, so that was exciting as well.
Yeah.
So Brady and Brooklyn, they were probably the two highlights.
I'll take that. If I was to ask your lovely daughters, would they say Brady coming to visit or getting the dog?
Oh, those two things, they were very excited to meet you because it had been quite a few years since you'd been here and they were young and couldn't quite remember you. And so, they were very excited. But I think Brooklyn may just edge you out there.
Yeah, I can't compete. I can't compete with fluffiness of that magnitude.
No. But look, you know, a few more visits, you know, you could sort of...
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Good idea. Not your best idea presentation of the year.
It was the great presentation.
I think you kind of went for the meandering intro. But I liked it.
What were you doing this time last year?
December. Okay, let me look at my...
I'll do it too.
Let me look at my pictures. I was in the Maldives.
Half your luck.
Having an amazing holiday. Oh, yeah, these pictures are making me very sad. There I am on a giant golden swan in the water.
I was, and I'm flicking through. U2 came to town. Saw U2 late last year. There's a few nice photos of guitar. I was reading a book. A friend's book was launched. I'm just flicking through.
Nice. Oh, I'm in Harry Potter world as well with my nephew.
I'm here at the Elton John. I got Elton John concerts, sort of his farewell tour in the Botanic Park outdoors.
I reached pi million subscribers on Numberphile.
Oh, right. Okay.
Numberphile subscribers with the digits of pi, so 3,141,592 subscribers. Big milestone.
Nice work.
2019 was much better than 2020. just based on December.
Just December 2019 was better than all of 2020.
Anyway, there we go.
There we go.
20. So what's your podcast called? 20. Or it's just called 2020. Although it's made in 2021. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll let you have that one.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Good idea. Good idea.
Satisfied.
And timely and topical. Well done.
Thank you.
This episode has been presented by Storyblocks.
Oh, fantastic.
You always say something like that, like fantastic or marvellous. You're always so pleased, aren't you, about to hear from them?
I am particularly, I won't go into it too much, but I'm particularly pleased to hear of a place where you can get photos that don't get you into trouble legally for being used.
Yeah. That is a very good thing about Storyblocks, having access to all this video, all these pictures, all this audio for a monthly fee, can license royalty-free, and you have the legal right to use it. And that's important.
Very important. I previously thought it was theoretically important. I'm telling you, people, it's important.
Jesus, it is important. Now, if you go to the Storyblocks website, you can graze their magnificent library of stuff. It's become such an important part of my work now. I just need like a little... I'll give you a tiny example, but it was the most recent one, so it's in my head. The other day, I was editing a video and I was putting some old archive footage into it from the 1950s, but there was no sound and it didn't seem quite right. And I was just like, this just needs a subtle little sound of a movie projector playing under it to make the old footage look like, to work, to feel authentic.
Yep.
Went straight to Storyblocks, went into their audio library, straight away, searched on projector, straight away found just that nice sound, just that nice audio effect I needed, dropped it into my video. Perfect. It's just always there with something you need.
Fantastic. It's like a community service. A product's so good that it's like a community service.
Go to storyblocks.com/unmade if you want to check them out. If you use the /unmade, they'll know you came from here. You pay just a small monthly fee, and for that, you have this smorgasbord of media you can use. Anything you could possibly need. I was looking for some pictures and video of St. Paul's Cathedral in London, and I was thinking, I wonder if they have any of that on Storyblocks. Let me tell you, they have loads of St. Paul's Cathedral in London on Storyblocks. They have more than you could possibly need. So if there's something you need, there's a very, very good chance Storyblocks will have it. Storyblocks.com/unmade.
I've got nothing to add to that, man. I endorse everything you've said.
So, it's that time.
Oh.
Spoon of the week. God, I love that jingle.
It's fantastic. It really is. That's probably that jingle. That's my proudest moment of 2020. That's my favourite moment.
And you had nothing to do with it.
No, I just enjoy it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, what spoon have you got for us?
Well, Brady, today we're going for something very much close to home. You know when you go to see a concert and you hear the greatest hits and the big hits and all that, and then they play that one song that's just your song.
Yeah.
Well, the spoon I've got here, it's just so close to home. I just love it. This is a spoon of Traralgon, We've talked about different places around Victoria that my parents have visited and that we've gone on holidays, and a few places around the world. But let me tell you, Brady, I was born in Traralgon, in Victoria, and this spoon is from Traralgon. And I think it's actually a very early spoon looking at its design. Now, let me describe it to you. Up the top, it's got a photo, just a straight photo of Traralgon, Victoria. And on the photo is, the photo itself is of the Traralgon post office.
Oh.
I'll come back to that in just a moment.
Yep.
It's nicely framed in sort of an antique sort of style. Down the stem, it's got a little bit of work. It's probably smaller than your normal tourist spoon. Some of the giant sort of tourist spoons you get these days. This is a little bit more of a humble sort of look. And
Humble spoon.
it is a humble spoon, yeah. Is
it silver or pewter? It looks a little bit pewtery in the pictures you've sent me, but admittedly the terrible pictures you've sent me. They're vintage Tim pictures. Taken with a box brownie or whatever you take your pictures with.
That's actually a sketch I've sent to you.
Yeah, right, with crayon.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right about the pewter. And it's got a shell-like scoopy bit. And
Nice bowl.
I can't quite read what it says. Oh, Sonic Products. So there you go. It's made by a company called Sonic, probably a different company than the one that produced Sonic the Hedgehog video game.
Possibly. Is that stamped into the metal, is it?
It is, yes, on the back. Yeah, I've just seen that.
Okay. Sonic Products. All right.
Sonic Products, yep.
Detracts a little bit from the oldie worldy look of the spoon, doesn't it? That it's made
the
by
word Sonic
products.
I don't think is look, should you say ye oldie Sonic Products? That would have been better.
Yeah,
been a little bit more authentic.
All right, so a spoon from your hometown. So for once, there's no kind of debate as to where or how your dad may have acquired this one.
No, but I think looking at its age, I think it may be one of the early ones he bought, and also just looking at the post office too. Now, this post office means a lot. When I think of Traralgon, I think of this post office for a couple of reasons. One is it's in the main sort of square. So this is kind of like many post offices. It marks the heart of, the city or the town. But especially so in Traralgon because there's not much else. So but there's the skate ramp, there's my primary school, and then there's this. But it's also where Dad worked and where he had his first big heart attack. So Dad worked in the post office there, and he had a massive heart attack, which meant that he had to retire.
Right.
So it's always got a bit of a legendary status. The other place that should be marked as the heart of Traralgon, of course, is the Traralgon Hospital. Not just because I was born there, but that's where Dad had several of his other heart attacks a little bit later on in the 1980s.
Has your dad got a spoon for every place he had a heart attack?
Man, I don't have that many spoons.
Your dad kept the spoon industry going for years just with his heart attack.
It's like...
Did the fact your dad survived so many heart attacks make you less scared of heart attacks?
It made me more familiar with them. You know how there's some illnesses you don't know anything about, but I know all about heart attacks and, what the symptoms are and when you can see them being experienced and how they feel and whatnot. Yeah. As a kid, you know a little bit about some things, and I knew about heart attacks, but I didn't know much about, other diseases, I guess. I remember Dad once describing it as being like an elephant sitting on his chest. That's how he described the feeling of having a heart attack, which I don't know if he literally had, compared the two, like had an elephant sit on his chest and then went, oh, yep, nope, it's about right. But
I imagine a massive elephant sitting on your dad's chest and going, this is just like a heart attack. Can I also propose something else here?
Yeah.
If this is one of the older spoons in the collection and it's from Traralgon, where your dad was a long time ago, could this be the Genesis spoon? Could this be the spoon that started it all?
Well, that's a really interesting thought. I wonder if they can be carbon dated or something or tested in somehow.
I like this, like some, yeah.
I wonder if it was at the very bottom of the plastic container that I keep them in, but that doesn't mean much because they've moved from container to container over the years.
I don't think that's going to pass their scientific rigor. Interesting thought, though, the Genesis spoon. It's a nice spoon. I like that it's kind of old school. It doesn't look exactly like the others. The square top,
I'll do a bit of homework with it. I'll follow up with Mrs. Hine. We'll go and have a Milo, and I'll ask Mum. I'll keep it like unbiased. I'll actually say, do you remember the very first spoon that either you bought with Dad or that Dad had? And just see if she can remember. Was there some? Did he have 2 or 3 or 5, or was there one? The spoon that started it all.
This could be the grain of sand around which the pearl was formed.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right, as usual, there'll be a link in the notes so you can go and look at a picture of this spoon and every other spoon from the Hine family collection that has been featured on Spoon of the Week. And Tim, if you want to do the honours and give the wheel a spin.
Here we go.
And now the wheel is spinning after Tim gave it a big yank. And
insert the Storyblocks audio of wheel near.
And so now we're going to find out what Patreon supporter is going to be sent an Unmade podcast souvenir spoon when they are finally produced and here in my office. And that day is fast approaching, I can tell you, people. This is absolutely true. This is not, I promise I am not rigging the deck, but our winner of the spoon this week is from the Netherlands.
No.
It is.
Really?
It is, yes. It is Pascal from the Netherlands, one of our Patreon supporters. Pascal,
Wow.
you are the winner, and I believe that is actually our second winner from the Netherlands, funnily enough. So there we go.
Well.
An Unmade podcast spoon off to the Netherlands. Well done, Pascal.
And presumably Pascal could have been a guest on your podcast, My Father is Dutch, or My Dutch Father, is that what it's called?
Yeah, my dad was Dutch or something like that. Yes, well, I don't know. I can't speak for Pascal. All I know is that I only know that Pascal's mailing address is in the Netherlands. That's all I know.
Oh, so he could be located there for tax purposes. Is that what you're saying?
It's very possible. He could just be there on a clog buying holiday for all I know.
I mean, that's right. Biologically, there must be a Pascal Senior, but we can't confirm whether he is Dutch.
No, exactly. All right. So, podcast idea from me.
Yeah, you got something, man?
So I'll tell you where my idea came from because I know you like a long meandering introduction to a podcast idea. My podcast idea has come from watching The West Wing because I've been watching a lot of West Wing lately. But don't worry, the podcast is not West Wing related. But one thing I noticed that happens a lot in that show is wake-up calls. Like there'll be some drama happening in China, and the administration gets to a point where they say, all right, we've got to wake up the president. And they always have that classic shot in the West Wing of the phone ringing next to the president's bed and him picking it up going, oh, hello, and making some joke when he's half asleep. So my podcast idea is called Wake Up Call. This is a podcast where you have a different guest each week, and it's arranged that the way the interview starts is you phone that person early in the morning and wake them up on the phone and just start the interview then. So each interview with your guest is their first 20 minutes awake for the day.
Yeah, that's good.
So they're literally in bed.
That's a good idea. And they just got to go. Yeah.
Just go.
Is it a
So
surprise? Do they know it's coming? Because
I mean, for practical reasons, obviously, if you've got Tom Hanks to agree to be on Wake Up Call, you can't just there has to be some arranging, but it would probably be said, what time do you wake up this week,
Yeah.
And we'll call you one of the days this week on this number, and the interview will start. So they'll know it's coming.
Yep.
But they have to have been asleep when the phone rang. You have to have getting them in that wake-up zone. What do you like in those first 20 minutes? If I was to wake you up tomorrow morning, your phone rings, you pick up, it's me. What would our conversation be like?
Oh, yeah, I'm all go. I awake, and it's like a shot of adrenaline. I put my feet on the floor and I'm up and I could do anything. I'm very good in the morning. I mean, I get a coffee and I just love it. Much better than at nighttime. At nighttime, I kind of switch off.
So what happens when you first wake up? You don't just go and pick up your phone and start looking at Instagram and stare at the ceiling.
No, I can't. Really, after I wake, which these days is Brooklyn, right? So Brooklyn comes up and he puts his paw on my hand. And, that's it. Or he's, sniffing around my face or something like that. So that's how I wake up every morning now.
Yeah.
And generally I push him away, and then and then I go, I can't stand here. Like, so once I'm awake in the morning, I can't stay in bed. I've got to get up. So I'm up straight away. So I push him around, stand straight up, reach over, put my glasses on, and walk out, flick the kettle on, and go and hop in the shower straight away. So I take my glasses off again, and then and then hop in the shower straight away. I don't want to do anything else till I've had a shower. And then
you have a shower that soon?
Yeah, like the first thing.
Have you always been like that?
No, I think I slept in a bit as a kid because I remember, needing to wake up. Those sorts of early, like, teenage years and stuff. In high school, I used to get up very early and watch a bit of TV and have breakfast and then go off to school really early and read the paper. But I think after that for a while, those sort of early young adult years when we were driving around, I'd sleep in a fair bit because we're out so late. But yeah, since, I don't know, marriage, kids, but since I've been sensibly having a job and stuff like that, I love the mornings. I just love them.
Oh, God.
I feel energetic and alive, and I want to get heaps of stuff done, and then I, sort of fade during the day. And then finally, right at the end of the day, when I've got nothing left, I record a podcast.
I was going to say, this explains a lot about the Unmade podcast. We're getting Timothy's absolute worst.
Just squeezing the last little bit of attention out of me. That's right. What would you be like if I called? I know you'd be
hopeless,
Mr. Grumpy in the morning.
I'm the exact opposite. I'm not only do I am I a bit grouchy and not liking the morning, but my brain is nowhere near as sharp and as good. For example, my wife and I sometimes do the crossword in the paper together, and we usually do that in the evening, sometimes at dinner time. And I'm pretty good. I'm pretty helpful.
Yep.
Get lots of answers right. Occasionally, if we do it in the morning, useless. It's noticeable how much worse I am. Like, I just have nothing. I can get nothing right. I got no ideas. That's one of the ways I can measure it. There aren't many other things, but morning for me is laying in bed, maybe falling asleep again a couple of times, eventually getting up and going down and having some breakfast, then maybe coming up to my computer for an hour and checking some emails and thinking about some work, thinking about, do I need a shower? Do I need to get dressed at some point? Is there an imperative that requires me to get dressed? If there is, I'll have a shower and get dressed. But it's not impossible to stay in my pajamas until after lunch.
So this is the sign that you work for yourself, right? So, and I know you work hard and you'll have worked into the evening and all that, but your time is your own, so you don't have to, you know what I mean? Get to work, get to a meeting, get to traffic in the same way. I know you do on some days as well, but it's not like every
hardly
morning.
ever, man. Let's be honest. I know you're being nice. Hardly ever.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
it's and the boot camp with kids and all that kind of stuff. You've just got to get. I have to say, there's another factor here, and this is another reason why you need to drink coffee. You need coffee. I've said this before. You're not made to function without coffee. That's why you're underperforming in the first third of the day.
I don't like it. Like I want to change it. And I am just lately. I've been trying to get up, a little bit earlier, but also I'm trying to impose a rule on myself that I'm not allowed to come up to my office and turn on my computer until I've had a shower and I'm dressed, because I think that's like just a healthier way to live. So I am trying to change that, and I long to change it. And occasionally, particularly when I've been traveling and my body clock's off, and I'll wake up at like 6 a.m. and I'll come up to my office and do like three solid hours work, say, until 9. And then I'll go downstairs and have breakfast and that. And then I'll be like, this is amazing. I'm having breakfast and I've already got 3 hours of work done. That is a wonderful feeling. And you feel like you've beaten the day, you're a real winner. So I do understand the sensation and when you talk about enjoying the mornings and like getting stuff done in the morning, I do appreciate it. Like it's not foreign to me, but it's just not something I do and like doing. And very often towards the evening, I do, like, say my wife's coming home in the evening, because that's normally when I stop working. Sometimes I'll start doing some work and feel, oh my God, I'm really on a roll now. I want to keep working for hours. That's when I feel like I could just keep working and things are going great. And I kind of have to stop because, my wife comes home and it's time for dinner and to, spend time together. And I feel like, this is when I could have really hit my straps. So I do feel like for some reason, the night is when, and when I'm alone, like, you know, if she's away or something, I will work until midnight, 1 o'clock, like really solidly, and get really good work done from about, you know, 8 or 9 p.m. until midnight. That's a really good work time for me. I'm really productive and really pushed through.
Yeah.
So I do feel like some people say there are morning people and night people, and other people say it's like learned behaviour and that. But I really believe, like, I naturally am nocturnal.
Well, you know, I'm reading Obama's memoir at the moment, and he's exactly the same as you. He describes himself exactly the same. He struggles in the morning. I mean, he still gets up, but he, you know, on the West Wing, the president's up at like 6 or something, but he's up at 7, which is relatively, you know, normal late, and gets going slowly. But then he's a real night owl, and after the day's finished, he'll go and do all these other work and letters in his home office, and then watch something, and then go to bed, you know, like very late, like 1 or 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
He says he just is naturally way more productive after dinner and in that time,
Yep.
and later in the day than he is in the morning. So,
Well, do you like my Wake Up Call podcast? Would you listen to that? Would you like to hear Tom Hanks at 6 in the morning being interviewed?
it's a bit. It is. I like the idea. It's a bit hit and miss, isn't it? Some of them might just be, what?
Yeah.
Who is it? You know, just it might take a couple of goes.
The idea that they're in bed in their pajamas is quite nice, though.
Yeah. That is that. There's something open and vulnerable about it, and that they might tell the truth. You know what I mean? Like, they're not all prepared, so they might go, "What?
Yeah.
No, yesterday was awful," or something. Or they might just drone on about the dream that they had last night, which
Yeah. That would be cool if you got them. Quick, what were you just dreaming while you can still remember it?
Yeah, that's right. I dreamt I was Tom Hanks. I was a big movie star. It's like, well, hang on, you Mr. Hanks. That is you. Oh, yeah.
Wow. All right.
Cool idea.
Wake Up Call. Stay tuned.
Nice work.
Coming soon. Quick idea from a Patreon supporter. Go to patreon.com/unmadefm to become one of our Patreon supporters. It gets you in all sorts of goodies and behind the scenes, and you can also send us your ideas. And one of our supporters is Didrik. Hello, Tim and Brady. My name is Didrik, and I've been a listener of the podcast since the very first episode, and a fan ever since the Groundhog Day idea very nearly made me die from laughter on a regular school day. Nearly died.
Whoa. Sorry, man.
Would we be in trouble if someone died listening to the podcast?
Gosh,
Yeah.
that'd be serious.
Never. We might need some insurance for that. I didn't even think about that. You joke about rubbish ideas and parochial subject matters, but your podcast really does help people get through their days, and I'd like to thank you for that on their behalf. What's that about rubbish ideas?
What? Who's rubbish? Rubbish
Ideas? I don't know what episode you've been listening to, did you?
You shouldn't take that, man. He's talking about you there.
I'm assuming he wrote this during your slump. As someone who ended up spending many late nights assembling repetitive robot parts, I may well have gone insane from boredom if not for your help. And that's all he says about these robot parts, by the way. So he's just left that hanging.
You're right.
What's he doing late at night, assembling robot? What's going on
Gosh.
here?
Is he building an army? I
don't know. He doesn't say. He does say, I'm currently 19 and studying technical physics in Sweden, although I'm currently taking a break from engineering stuff and exploring some less taxing subjects. As someone who listens to media almost constantly, I often have the Unmade podcast running in the background, regardless of what I'm doing. It's a constant companion for me, whether I'm cooking, taking a nightly walk, climbing a tree, sitting on the bus, doing laundry, or trying to sleep. Recently, I've even taken to listening along while I'm drinking tea, which brings me to my podcast idea. Are you ready, Tim? Here comes the idea.
I'm ready.
Since about a year back, I made the decision that I would get as into tea as I could manage. And so over the course of my tea journey, I have gradually been switching from flavoured tea bags to roasted oolongs and gaiwans. I don't know if I pronounced them correctly.
Gosh.
Although as my love of tea grew, I also grew increasingly frustrated at the severe lack of tea-related podcasts available, especially ones of the two dudes talking variety. Just like the Unmade podcast is primarily two guys talking and mainly uses the podcast ideas as the starting point to provide structure, the Tea podcast would to some extent be about tea, but primarily centered around the rapport and chemistry of the hosts. Every episode would start with the host describing what tea they are going to drink, as well as how they plan to brew it, brewing vessel, water temperature, leaf to water ratio, etc. They would describe the aroma and taste, but after that they would simply have a normal conversation. They could perhaps review the teas, but to some extent I feel like that would detract from the relaxed atmosphere of simply enjoying tea and good company. As for a name, a community I'm part of came up with a few suggestions. Most of them were puns, such as Hey Cha, pronounced like Hey Cha meaning black tea. I don't know if I said any of that right. Talkative, and Confessions of a Hong Cha Hoarder. Hong Cha meaning red tea, which is actually black tea. It's confusing. In an emergency, though, simply tea chat would suffice. I should probably stop rambling before this message grows way too large. Thank you once again for creating this wonderful podcast. Kind regards, Didrik. P.S. To the Danish listener who featured many episodes ago, I would like to return his remark in kind. I do not like Danes. Said with as much brotherly love as I can muster. So he's just obviously got a chip on his shoulder about some old Danish-Swedish rivalry there at the end. But anyway, there it is, Didrik. Thank you for that very long Tim-like suggestion, complete with rubbish names. So it really was Tim-like.
Well, let me tell you, this is a fine idea. This is...
Yeah, I really got really into the complex description there. There you go. Basically, a tea podcast is how I would have described it.
Yes, a tea cast.
Tea cast.
Briefly.
Tea cast. Tea cast is a good name. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. I'd call it, or just like the tea bag or something, you know?
Do you drink tea?
Yes, I do, because my wife is a very large consumer of tea. So while I can't have Milo every time. So sometimes if I'm feeling healthy, I'll have a tea instead. She's like, do you want a hot drink? And I'll be like, I'll have a Milo. No, actually, I'll also have a tea. That's like my concession to health.
Like a little grown-up moment. Like, oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Between Milos, I'll have a grown-up tea. Show I'm a bit sophisticated. Whoa, watching my figure, I'll go for a tea. Do you want sugar? No sugar. No sugar. Just straight tea, like a grown-up.
Oh, nice.
Do you drink a lot of tea?
I don't drink a lot, no. I might have one a day. Well, one every couple of days, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like a cup of tea, just to break up the coffees for me. Otherwise, I drink too much coffee. But I do like a cup of tea for sure.
I do like Didrik's idea. I think a tea podcast is nice because, as we showed with the previous episode, the wholesome episode with your mum making the Milos, there is something nice about listening to the ritual of people preparing their drinks as well.
Yes.
I like that sort of ritual start and a little bit of natural sound, a little bit of Foley work at the start with the making of the tea. And then, like Didrik says, then just having a chat over tea, you know? What better time is there for having a chat than over a couple of cups of tea?
Oh, absolutely. One of the greatest sounds in the world, I've heard it once said, and I agree, is the sound of a cup just finding its perfect place on the saucer. Like, do you have a favourite brand or type of tea or?
No, I'm not.
Flavour?
I'm not fussy. I'll have just whatever's on the go. We have a lot of decaffeinated tea because my wife doesn't have caffeine, so usually these days I usually drink decaffeinated tea just to horrify you even more that I'm not even getting my caffeine through tea.
No, gosh.
Yeah, so but I like it just for the warmth and that. I do like sugar in my tea, but like I said, if I'm having tea, I've already decided I'm on a health kick for that minute, so I usually won't have the sugar.
Right, you just do a few sit-ups and down your tea. Nice.
Yep.
I like, there's a tea company in Australia called T2, and they do a tea called Melbourne Breakfast, and I do like that a lot.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I'll just have Bushels, which is a very sort of Australian brand of tea. Yeah. Nice.
Is there any money changing hands behind the scenes here, Tim, or are you actually just doing real endorsements? Or
hang on, my agent's just telling me. Sorry, it wasn't Bushels, it was Lipton's. That's my favourite.
After the debacle of your endorsement of Burger Rings, no one's giving you money to endorse products, that's for sure.
No, I couldn't get enthusiastic about the Burger Rings, I have to say.
You totally dropped the ball there.
But I have to say, they're still there at home, and the daughters are eyeing them off. Like, have you finished with these burger rings yet, Dad? Like,
The unopened pack, the prop.
yeah. My wife said, "Are these to be eaten now?" And I said, "No, I need to." And she's like rolling her eyes. Right, okay. Back in the cupboard they go. And so.
You can buy other packs of burger rings, you realise. It's not just that one pack.
I know, but they're there. They're there. I need to, I need to up my game.
How long do you leave the tea bag in? Because that's the patience to leave the tea bag in long enough to get a good brew is one of my weaknesses.
Yeah, but it's got to be, you've got to do another task. It's got to be like melting the butter with the eggs. You've got to do something else to give it its proper time, because as long as possible makes it nice and strong.
I mean, it's gotten to a point now where, like, my wife, when I say, "Do you want a tea?" she'll always say, "Yes, please, a strong tea." Like, she'll always like that has to be said. But it's because it's always said, it's kind of lost its meaning now.
Is that because you're impatient? So you just sort of drag it through the water and then throw it in the bin straight away?
Yeah, just like, it just has to touch the water for the tea to have been made, yeah. So, a strong tea, please. Yes, I know, strong.
We make a pot of tea. So my wife, I get up in the morning, I make a coffee, and then I put the pot of tea on as well for her. So if I'm working from home, my second drink will be from that pot, which is because it's a pot. It's nicely brewed.
Yeah,
that's always the yummiest type. So
all right,
teapot.
Well,
Teapotcast. There we go. That's a name.
The teapot. The podcast. Oh yeah. I just like the teapot as a name. The teapot.
The teapot.
Welcome to the teapot with your hosts Brady Heron and Tim Hine. Today.
And you're going, "How are you, Brady?" And then there's a little sound. Oh, well,
good,
Tim.
yes.
Then,
what would you like? Would you like a bit of milk with that? This would be a hard podcast to make when your hosts are in Australia and England.
Yes.
Yeah. You need to be in the same room.
But you could also then discuss things that you eat with tea as well. You have high tea, and then all the different, there's the whole scone wars that go on.
And just like news in the world of tea, like, there's been a big storm in the tea growing territories of South America, and there's going to be a shortage of the Mungwanga black leaf tea.
There is, yeah. And tea and the history as well. Of course, tea plays a significant role in history in terms of the United States and the War of Independence and all that kind of stuff. So
again, great idea, Didrik. Thank you very much. And thank you for your patronage. And we'll join you for a cup of tea one of these days.
Absolutely.
Over in Sweden. And there will be no Danes invited because we know how you feel about Danes.
People are now using their ideas as ways to send messages to other patrons who have ideas.
That's right. Not just to send messages, but like to have beef with them. Can I just say, I really don't like Tall Jeff.
Do you know, I was thinking, in Australia how we have those tourist attractions around, the big lobster and the big banana and the big pineapple and all these places. I reckon Idaho should erect a Tall Jeff. Like they should build one.
The Tall
10
Jeff.
feet tall. Yeah.
I love
People
it.
go and visit the Tall Jeff and they can get their photo with the Tall Jeff.
Yeah. I would totally do that. I would go there.
They could build it so big you could climb up inside it like the Statue of Liberty. That would be quite something. They could,
and or you could climb to the top where he's holding that stick with the Smurf hat on top, and you can go like up into the Smurf hat.
That's right.
And you can also take those photos that you do with forced perspective where you're in the foreground that looks like you're holding up Tall Jeff with your hands.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I hope the Idaho Tourist Bureau is listening, because this is a real, this would be bigger than
This could be the new Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. I was about to say Stonehenge, but no, that's right. This is the new Mount Rushmore.
This could be the new Stonehenge. Doesn't quite sound right, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So Tim, just one quick final message. Don't forget, 11 o'clock tomorrow, you've got your meeting with the retired policeman. Nothing about the illegal rave.
I'm going to put that in my diary now. Oh, no, it's going to have to be 12. I'm still in a board meeting at 11. But anyway, I'll contact him in the morning.
Oh, you're going to have to cancel the board meeting.
Hang on. I'm just typing it in.
Here's a podcast idea. We have to just listen to Tim arranging his diary for the next day as he moves meetings around and stuff. Brilliant.
I'll just say things like, I'll put that over there and I'll email them now. Yeah, there we go.